If you're on an 8GB laptop GPU and Star Wars Outlaws won't hold 60 FPS, this isn't just a settings problem, it's how the game behaves when VRAM fills up. And just to be clear right up front, yes, we can mostly lock this game to 60 FPS, but only if you understand what you're trading off. This video is about how Star Wars Outlaws actually behaves over longer play sessions on an 8GB laptop GPU, not quick benchmarks or high and ultra presets. All of this testing is done on an RTX 5060 laptop with 8GB of VRAM. The goal isn't to compare multiple laptops, it's to understand Snowdrop's behavior once memory pressure builds up. If you're on another 8GB laptop GPU, the exact numbers may differ, but the behavior is what matters here. The first thing that stood out is how aggressively Snowdrop uses VRAM. Even at medium settings in the open world, VRAM usage regularly spikes to 7.4 to 7.5 GB. Once you're that close to the limit, scaling stops being predictable. More GPU power doesn't help much and resolution changes don't fix the root cause. That's why performance drops and image instability feels sudden rather than gradual. So let's start with the performance first path. If your goal is mostly locked 60 FPS on an 8GB laptop GPU, this was the most reliable setup I found. Nothing exotic here, just keeping the engine within what it can comfortably hold in memory. With this setup, the game stays close to 60 FPS most of the time. Cities and interiors are smooth, traversal is mostly stable, and VRAM stays just under the danger zone. But performance isn't the whole story. The trade-off shows up in image quality. Water loses surface detail, the foliage has intense flickering, and the image feels noticeably softer in motion. It's absolutely playable, but visually, this isn't where Star Wars Outlaws shines. Now, if you care more about image quality and you have VRR, Ray Reconstruction changes the experience. Let me turn on Ray Reconstruction and see how the foliage stabilizes and the image holds together much better in motion. At 1080p DLSS balanced with Ray Reconstruction, there is also significant improvement in water quality. Cities and interiors mostly sit around 60 FPS and often climb into the 70s indoors. Open world traversal stays in the 50s and feels smooth with VRR with no major stutters. You don't get a locked 60 FPS everywhere, but the game looks significantly better. At 1600p with DLSS performance and medium settings with Ray Reconstruction turned on, cities and hubs generally stay around the high 50s to 60s. Open world locations while riding stays in the mid to low 50s and occasionally high 40 dips during long rides. With VRR, this is still very playable and the image quality is clearly better than 1080p without Ray Reconstruction. A lot of guides tell you to just drop the presets to medium or low. That helps initially, but the image still looks sparse and the world doesn't feel very dense. What mattered more on my system wasn't presets, but how aggressively Snowdrop streams the world into memory. At medium, extra streaming distance defaults to 0. That keeps VRAM usage low, but it also makes the world feel empty, with noticeable pop-in when riding or moving fast. I raised it to around 70. That gives the engine just enough look ahead to fill in the world properly without trying to keep too much of it resident in memory. On faster GPUs, you may have more headroom. On others, sticking closer to default may be safer. With these values, I was able to play for hours without restarting, not because the performance improved, but because the engine stopped overcommitting memory. One quick note about Snowdrop, it's very slow at clearing memory. Uncapped cutscenes can cause small stutters. Capping them at 30 FPS will also cause stutters, however, it helps avoid VRAM spikes. Fast travel and unlocking new areas temporarily increase VRAM usage depending on the area where you're traveling, but it does stabilize again. So here's the honest conclusion. Star Wars Outlaws isn't broken on 8GB laptop GPUs, but it's not forgiving either. If you want a locked 60, you can get it by sacrificing image quality. If you want the game to actually look right, Ray Reconstruction is worth enabling as long as you accept VRR level frame rates instead of chasing high and ultra presets. Once you understand the trade-off, the game becomes much easier to live with. These are my findings from long session testing on the RTX 5060 Asus F16 laptop. If you're on an 8GB laptop GPU and seeing similar behavior, let me know what worked for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.